Vodafone presents the pre-match.
It's time for the Vodafone pre-match, and for one last time in the CIS region, we'll find out who is going to make it to the minor and who will be going to the minor playoff, with the minor playoff being the situation where one team from each region will go head-to-head for a final spot in the major. It's all come down to this, Pimp and Blair, and we have been ready and waiting for this across this entire week. It's all down to Winstrike and Spirit, and two teams with two very different playstyles.
Very different playstyles, very different history, very different ways of approaching the game. They have one thing in common, James, and that is the fact that this is the biggest game of their careers. Winning this one secures them a spot into the major, which would be a huge accomplishment. It gives them stickers, it gives them pride, it gives them something to be happy about, whereas the loser will have to go in a very, very, very tough situation because they'll be demoted, sort of speaking, down to the minor qualifier, where they'll have to face a third place from the European minor, a third place from the Asian minor, and one from the, which one am I forgetting, right?
NA minor.
NA minor, there we go. Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. They will have a tough time. They will have a tough time. So this one means the world to both teams, and especially considering, you know, these two are not established top teams. These are two teams that have, you know, sort of fought their way into this position, you know, rightfully so. Spirit have been putting out some decent Counter-Strike, and Winstrike, I would say, even better. Yeah,
it's an interesting journey as to how both these teams have reached the stage right now, right? Winstrike, in my opinion, have had the harder route because they had to face off against Avangard twice, which is never easy. They, of course, they faced off against Gambit as well. The early games were pretty easy for both the teams, right? It was Runtime and Pro 100 and all these guys. But I think Spirit have overall had the easier path. They did beat Gambit yesterday when we really didn't believe it's going to happen. But some Young, he just woke up. That's the thing with that team. Like, sometimes this one player just wakes up and it just clicks for them. It's not a system per se. It's more like the firepower they have. And of course, when you've been playing together for so long, even if your tactics aren't working out, there's a certain level of like hive mind understanding of how you want to play the game, or you know, your basic things like entering a side, your comms are always on point, and I think that's the one advantage to have over Winstrike. On the other hand, like if you look at Winstrike, they've been, in my opinion, they've been a better team overall, while Spirit have been the more exciting team, so to speak.
Yeah, I definitely agree. You have the names on your screen right now: Softic, Dima, Coldly, Defcost, and some Young. James, this is a team that has been showing us some great Counter-Strike, but also a team that made us facepalm a lot out there.
In all honesty, you are completely correct there, Pimpin. And that's the thing, right? You see moments where Davkos, for example, will shut down anyone that comes in his way. And then at the same time, some Young, like you were talking about, Blair, he has the most explosive games, but then the other moment, they're walking around and it looks like they've got their heads in the clouds.
To me, it's a team that if they don't make mistakes, they have a high level of Counter-Strike. They actually play some decent Counter-Strike, as you said. The 5 players on the team, you know, they all have potential to be that top fragger of the game and sort of take over the game and dictate the pace. But they just make too many mistakes, and they make you facepalm a little bit too much, I feel. You know, they put themselves in so many advantage situations and yet not able to capitalize off most of them, and that's a big problem, especially when you're facing Winstrike. This is a team player that has played way better than we expected coming into this one.
Absolutely. The only caveat to that particular statement would be the fact that these guys haven't really been very convincing in their wins. Sure, they beat Avangard, of course, but it was not like. But when they play against other teams, for example, it wasn't like they just stomped them, so to speak, right? They've grinded it out. They've been playing pretty well, all things considered. Like, few players over here, I want to just point out. Quick has been great. Boomich has, you know, as an in-game leader, he's one of the youngest players. He's the guy this team was formed around. Like, I don't know how many people who are watching the stream right now remember, but I think it was 3 or 4 months back, everyone from the team got kicked, and it was only Boomich remaining. They got Quick back, and then of course they picked up the old Flipside guys who got well edited, and of course we got Waylander coming in, and of course Norbert, who has, I mentioned before in the pre-game segment as well, where I'm like, this guy has been performing out of his mind, and again, 17 years old on, you know, on the biggest stage of his career, and also in the do-or-die match where you want to go through. You don't want to go through facing off against, like we said, the third place EU team, which is going to be either North or Vitality. You don't want that scenario to arise.
And I think it's fair to put some emphasis on Norbert. You know, not only has been the best player for the team, but he's only 17 years old, as Blair said. You know, coming into a matchup like this, which is undoubtedly the biggest game of his career. You know, the pressure's on right now. They're the favorites to win this game against Spirit. Good thing for him is he's surrounding himself with some experienced players. You have World Leaders, as you said. You have Waylander, for that matter, as well. A team of Flipside players that have been at many majors before and are experts at qualifying for majors somehow. So they probably gain some of that experience, gain some of that know-how, and they can sort of calm him down and make sure that he feels comfortable when he's about to play the biggest match of his career.
And that's what you're saying, right? It is the biggest match of their career. No time for face palms whatsoever. It needs to be bringing that A game from start to finish here, and we get to enjoy some of the highlights that we see from both of these teams and exactly how they've made their crazy road to this point.
We don't even have to mention Jamie at this point, do we? I mean, it's a player that is a high level player, but he hasn't been playing up to the level that we expected him to. I don't think he's been the star for the team so far.
Yeah, the crazy thing about this Avangar lineup, the Avangar lineup, so to speak, is the fact that there's no one who you look at and you're like, all right, he is the reason they've reached this level, right? They won tournament. It's like the system just works, and that's a great thing. And even without a system, like you give them an inch, they're going to take a mile. They have so many skilled players all together. Just looking at this, like, it's a highlight of obviously the top 4 teams, the playoff teams, but everyone, like World-Edit, Waylander, when things go off, they have the dual up setup going for them. You know, we have Norbert, you know, just shutting down sites. We have Quick, like Dustu has been like his home ground, so to speak. We have Axel being shown over there. Like, all these players have their own play style, their own particular part of the map they enjoy. And for me, as a whole, just from a holistic perspective, watching this tournament, it's been a great joy for me, just trying to, you know, see different styles of CS from different players from a scene which not many people are very well versed with.
And that's the thing, right? We came into this and we were like, oh, okay, we can see our clear favourites going into it. Well, Gambit got taken out of the equation early on. Now it's Spirit's chance to shine. Now, one thing, guys, they've had a head-to-head match before, actually not too long ago, towards the end of last year. How much does that come into balance here? Because obviously a lot of time and prep, you can see from what we heard from the Winstrike players before, they've been hardcoring even over the Christmas period. They didn't take time off. They wanted this.
Obviously, you gain some experience playing against each other in an official environment, but it's safe to note for the viewers out there who may not know how it works, sort of like the inner workings of a practice environment, is these teams play against each other pretty much every single day.
Yes.
This is, you know, a CIS region that doesn't have that much quality and that much depth within the lineup, so the teams that they practice against is also the teams that they're playing against in the tournaments. So they already, whatever they have played official matches against each other or not, they have a decent understanding of how you play against each other and what they can expect from each other.
Well, it's time for the pick and bans, and straight away Inferno is going to be out of the question.
Yeah, Inferno and Train, these are the 2 perma bans from both these teams. This is where it's going to get interesting. Both these teams like playing on Nuke and on Dustu. Both of them, these are the first or second picks most of the times. But when Spirit picked Nuke against these guys earlier on, they got destroyed. So I'm expecting Spirit, or I'm not sure which one's going to go with the Mirage pick here. Okay, Nuke pick coming in from Winstrike because they beat Spirit on that map earlier when they faced off against a month back. I think Mirage is going to be coming in from Spirit because although they struggled a little bit initially, they have been great on it. But instead they've gone with Overpass, which is surprising. This is a surprise pick in my opinion. I thought it would probably go Mirage, go for a more confidence play, but just play to his strengths at this point in time, right? But going for Overpass, this is a little tricky.
It must be something with the preparation. Obviously, we get to see Dust2 as the 3rd map. That's sort of like a CIS favorite at this point. But the Overpass pick, as you said, that's interesting to me too, because for me, it's a sign of Spirit. You know, they must have done the preparation. They must have seen some flaws within the Winstrike defense, or the offense for that matter, that they think they can exploit. Otherwise, Mirage would have been an obvious pick. I think they're 90% win rating on it right now, and it's a map, you know, despite them having not played that well on it throughout this tournament, the wins that they have gotten was overtimes win, both of them. It's still a map, you know, that they managed to win. So in that regard, a little bit surprised, but again, it tells me that Spirit comes into this matchup well prepared. Yeah,
absolutely. I just wanted to add on one very quick thing would be the fact that if you just look at the mentality in this particular map, Vito, would be how the way Winstrike approaching is like, we're just going to play it textbook. We're just going to play it to our strengths, the way we're going to be doing it. Spirit, like you mentioned, they might be overthinking it as well. I'm not too sure about this.
Well, this is the thing, right? You can overthink because they've had a lot to be played on where people can look back and say, oh, look, we played Mirage a lot. Maybe that's the reason they didn't come into play. Dust2 seems to be the most played map at the CIS Minor over and over again. These guys are loving it regardless. Really quickly, though, guys, which way, just based on that veto, do you think this is going to go?
I think Winstrike is the team that has impressed me the most throughout this tournament. I don't see them all of a sudden fall down off a cliff and drop in level. That said, though, Spirit have been playing okay at times. I think it's going to be a close one, but I think if Winstrike is producing the same level of Counter-Strike we saw against Avangar in those 2 best of 3s, they will take this matchup.
I'm going to start pimp on this one. Firstly, I'm excited to see Nuke being played for the very first time in this tournament. It's a map I do enjoy watching, but I completely agree with Pimp on this. You're as good as your opponents, right? And Spirit have not really shown against a better opposition, but all they have demolished teams who are comparatively lesser than them. So, yeah, Winstrike should have this, and I'm calling it 2-0.
Take that, Gambit, huh?
Oh, wow, wow. All right, well, we'll be going over to Nuke for the first time in the CIS Minor, and our beautiful Canadian voices, that dynamic duo of Launders and Scrawny, will be taking you throughout all the action.
Nuke, Launders, Nuke. I didn't think we were going to find ourselves here, and I have to say I'm pretty excited for this one. I'm just pretty much excited to crown ourselves another new challenger. Katowice just around the corner, and another CIS team's going to make it here today.
I honestly love this version of Nuke. I think hats off to Valve. At first, I was super doubtful. When they removed the hut window, I was thinking, okay, this is such a classic part of the map.
Iconic.
There's so much meta around it. It makes the 1v1s more fun. But now it's a lot easier to play mini and be useful to outside, which has become a whole lot harder to hold. And in exchange, they did take out the outer railing. But some of these changes are not very new. But because we haven't got the chance to talk about it at this tournament, I really wanted to bring that up. I'm looking forward to seeing this map. And I think it's really fun to play now and somewhat balanced.
Speaking of the changes as well, personally, I think one of my favorite parts is the fact that no longer do we have vents inside of B-site. Just like hut window, that's one of those changes that I was honestly kind of critical of. It seemed way too bottlenecky, but it makes for some exciting after plants, and it makes for some exciting holds. You get more action within the hallways. You know, I think that increases the usage of your Molotovs and smokes. And it's just, all in all, an exciting place to find ourselves. Not only because, again, as Bless said, the first time at the CIS Minor, Nuke has been selected, but on top of it all, at the end of this series, we will be having ourselves another attendee to Katowice.
Yeah, and look at that. The Betway odds fly in. Spirits are actually favored. I'm surprised at that. I really do believe Winstrike will take this series. Spirit looked a little bit better yesterday than I think we've seen them at the tournament so far, but still, Winstrike looked consistent through it, I want to say.
I'm excited to see this Sumdai Young versus Norbert play. I think that's the two players that I personally have to highlight coming into this. Norbert, just a bit of a shocker when you consider it's not a core player of the old Winstrike / QBF. It's not one of the guys they bring in for Flipside. It's that fifth man in, and we can see exactly why. SDY, of course, out of nowhere yesterday, dropping absolute bombs on Gambit, and arguably one of the reasons that they were sent packing.
Definitely. Very tricky player. Now we've got confirmation for Norbert, just of this one Heaven player, Sumdai Young, in prime position to try to take a player out at Squeaky. He sees the door swing out, and we'll go out for the kills.
Yeah, 2 guns are better than 1, so it seemed. Manages to open up shop, but luckily the rest of his team are there to pick up those kills. It's a team ace for the making if Dima can get the last one, which means through and through, just a solid A-hold. They walked right into the numbers of Spirit.
You can pretty much do anything on this pistol rounds, and it might be somewhat 50-50, and upper exec is just fine. You'd think definitely the entries could have come a lot easier, but the top of hut is such a strong position. It's much easier to deal with when you have a rifle round where you want to buy a Molotov, but from that, you've got to stand outside, throw the Molotov out through the vent, and then hit it on the roof of the hut. And in this situation, they decided to opt to avoid it. So Team Spirit, well prepared to hold in that situation. They take the pistol round. We move on to the next round, and this is the pick of Winstrike. It's actually Spirit to go for the overpass pick, which I agree with the desk. It was quite interesting. It's maybe Mirage would have been a better map for them, but we saw such cool plays from Sumdai Young on overpass yesterday. Maybe they feel like if they want to emphasize him as a star player for the team, they want to bring that to overpass and let him shine.
Yeah, unleash the beast, let him rock and roll, just like Winstrike will here this round. Outside they go, bomb in tow. And unfortunately for them, they will find a scope on the other side. I love the diversity of weaponry that we have now in Counter-Strike. Take a look at what Team Spirit are holding on to. First of all, viable AUG. Clearly, as he taps away the 2 players, we've got SMGs now in the meta, and of course, the auto shotty, a classic on that A site.
It was about 10 years of people buying AKs, M4s, ops, and then getting a deagle for pistols instead of USP, which you would just buy a USP if you were on the T side. Now we have a situation where there's a lot more SMGs that are viable. SMGs in general have been viable, and now they're trying to bring in new rifles into play and making them strong enough that they're appealing to people who have gotten so good and mastered guns like the M4 and AK. So I think at first it's not such a welcome change to Counter-Strike people. Counter-Strike people don't like change that much, but at this point they can't ignore it, right? The AUG is extremely strong, and it's great for holding outside. As Sothic is going to be the man on flex to do that. Here in this eco round is just going to be spotting and won't want to risk his life too much. Very important spot that he's in. So even though he could take a frag, it might be more important that he stays alive. Here's Winstrike walking across these outside smokes just to not give a tell away, and it looks like Waylander's already compromised vents. This hinders rotates so much. There's going to be a lot of pressure on Dav cost on the lower site.
Yeah, and you can see him just wanting to figure out whether or not they did in fact use that wall of smokes to come down quietly. The answer is absolutely yes. He's met by a bunch of terrorists, just like Dima, who throws himself into control and gets 1 1 frag. That's all Spirit have managed so far, and Winstrike have enveloped this lower B bomb site, but they haven't actually pulled the trigger on it, Mohan. They haven't run in, there's no bomb plant, and there is the ability to double back if need be. Take into consideration, two of Spirit's 3 players are still over on that ramp.
See, this is tough. Sumdayoung now has to rely on his teammates to try to get a kill, because Waylander can sit in this position and stay strong, knowing his teammates are alive, can cover options for him. And that's going to make it difficult for Spirit to get in. Now, although the bomb hasn't gone down, there's still a little bit of time to work it, and World Edit is safely taking peeks with his op. First opportunity in a op shot has been missed, and Kvik here is actually going to flank Sumdayoung at the top of the vents. I don't know if they'll spot him, however. They're going to call for the rotate upwards, and Kvik has now a blind spot on that railing.
Oh, but unfortunately for SDY, he comes out a little too wide, is called, and while he does still catch the head of Waylander with the 12 gauge, there's nothing to follow up shot. Boomich trying to catch the lobby flank, but Coldy has slipped past, and he's the one remaining Spirit player with 100 health to work with. He's now the only remaining Spirit player. And he knows that Boomich is in here, so that should be a 1v1, but he just can't get it done. Boomich, double frag inside of lobby, and Winstrike, with a nice, calm rotation into that A bomb site, are now on the board.
Absolutely. So when you get down to the lower, you can kind of envelop it, as you mentioned, and take control of control room and Heisenberg and vents and wait, but you still got to deal with the ramp rotators, and when they couldn't find that pick safely, when they couldn't have a World Edit actually get the op shot off, they decided that they'd have a Kvik come and flank the ramp. I don't even know how he got there, if it was by delaying an outside hit and then him lurking to that direction, but either way, it was a smart thing to do, and it put a lot of stress on the rotations, making it a very impossible round for Spirit to win.
He was actually downstairs with Winstrike. He was one of the 4 players that went down secret stairs, cleared out all the tunnels, and managed to walk all the way back up through Big Garage. I think it's that lack of hesitation we see from Winstrike that gives him such a huge window of opportunity to pull something like that off. Obviously, with Spirit being man down in that, they didn't try to mix anything up. They didn't try to, you know, create a blockade or go for some sort of flank. They played very passive as opposed to active. Could have cost them, just like Kvik coming out from ramp room. It's a double USP kill from Sotvik. And I mean, now at this point, there are 4 CT bodies just piling up inside of ramp room. Why? Because they have bomb on a silver platter. 3 USP kills for Sotvik. He's 7-1, and it's Norbert alone from this long flank that doesn't get anything done. That is a huge mistake.
It's hard to describe it as anything but an explosive round from Sotvik, a fantastic round from him. They had the stack, and because they had the boost up in ramp room, it was the player who was up top who drew attention away from Sotvik to allow him to get that first kill, and even the second as Boomich tried to trade. So the USPs and other guns that were here and stacked were ready to perform that crossfire, and it was all thanks to the foresight of knowing that they would take ramp in the first place, having 3 dedicated there to stop them. Winstrike going to be scratching their heads after that one, but moving into this with just slightly upgraded pistols, and it's Team Spirit who've now converted, taken 3 AKs for themselves, and are in prime position to grab a 4th round.
That's a massive opening that they've just created themselves. Like you said, prepared for the ramp play. You know, that wasn't some fluke. They seemed very meticulous, very intent on getting ahead of that, and Winstrike walk right in. The XM1014 firing off some shots down in the tunnels. And Kvik has actually fallen off of the roof. This does enable a flank, but I mean, we should have heard the audio cue in terms of the player within Mini. So, with timing on their side, they should be able to figure this out, Spirit. All the while, Coldy continues to fight. He knows World Edit's out here with the Deagle. Doesn't want to get sprung in a trap. I guess this has gone unchecked. No, Dima seems aware. They just don't know where exactly Kvik's got off to.
Seems like a fight that could come down to timing, but Kvik's only got a Glock as well, which is going to make things a whole lot harder. There it is, the awareness for Davkos to check on his flank himself. World Edit goes down outside, and Team Spirit have minimal losses. 4 players alive, retaining the AKs, keeping the auto shotgun, which will be effective in a kind of upstairs position for the entire match. He can use that on top of Hut, and you know, it's an infamous gun that Hiko used so many times. And it looks funny, but it works just as well or even better sometimes than rifles. Put opponents to sleep in 1 shot coming out of the Squeaky or even Hut. So now we're out to another rifle round. Winstrike will try to recoup their losses after getting ecoed. And Sotvik, the man of the hour from that round, is going to be first contact outside.
Davkos revealing that the AWP is at a distance. Sotvik has still kept himself quiet, but Waylander once more gets out through Squeaky Door and plays into the vents. He hasn't actually dropped downwards, but will do so now, timing it well with the fact that Norbert's in some secret stairs. So this is a bit of a throwback, Mohan, to the second round where we saw Winstrike take their weapons into the depths of B.
And it's an even stronger start this time as they get the 2 kills before totally taking over lower control. 3 players creeping their way back into lobby, but with a CT tailing them.
This is actually a variation as to what they threw in the second round, so excuse me. Remember, that time 4 players go downstairs. This time it's the same wall of smokes. It's still that silent walk-up, so the numbers are in question. Team Spirit not entirely sure whether they did go full-blown down those stairways with Waylander joining them. And now Coldy realizes, yeah, there's something up. He's dropped bomb as Davkos gets one off the ramp. It's a single player in Kvik who was pinched, but nearly fights his way out of it. Beautiful op shot from Davkos. Waylander desperately trying to clamber his way back onto the bomb. And Davkos has a teammate by his side. This is going to be a gunfight all to the end. Norbert, almost, but it's Dima with the round.
Would have been a pretty messed up situation if Dima didn't win that duel. Team Spirit had all the information there, and even though it was 3v5, because they had that big flying out, it was just the ace in the hole, and all that lobby control that Winstrike thought they had secretly was totally compromised by the player who called out the smokes outside, pushed around, and got behind them. Winstrike going to be calling a TAC timeout to talk about what happened. They won 1 round, and it was a really great round. And they tried a variation of that when Team Spirit got in their faces right away. So you could see the coach being very animated, very vocal behind Winstrike, talk about what they can do differently. And the strategies look awesome. I mean, in that situation, if they were, maybe a little suspicious of the thoughts of somebody who had pushed outer, they would have gotten the kills for sure. I honestly feel like they could run that round back and it would look great. So they will try again, but this time they've only got pistols. And Team Spirit off to such a strong lead already. This is kind of nuts. Really felt like, you know, Team Spirit looked better, but still not good enough to take Winstrike down.
So far, so good. Sotvik gonna fall to the pistols, overwhelmed, as is Davkos. You take a tack pause, and what do you talk over? I mean, let's just hit some zingers. Those deagles paying off already, and we saw Winstrike do this versus Gambit. We saw them use these sorts of rounds to crack a very challenging opponent. Obviously, they have given up a round like this themselves in the third when Sotvik gets the USP 3K towards ramp, so it would be a fantastic way for Winstrike to punish a mistake of their own. And that's one of the big things that Jacob on the desk was alluding to, right? The amount of mistakes that Team Spirit make is sometimes when they fall apart. They're good textbook Counter-Strike players, but they offer openings. And this, undeniably one of those times.
Norbert with Heaven Control is all he needs for his team to be able to tell them that they can escort the bomb into upper safely, plant for the money, and win the round with ease. Winstrike have a few rifles that they'll convert from that, and an eco that helps them give their economy a boon. They have some money left over, plus some rebuys, and they're in a much better spot. It really does feel like they should have more rounds, maybe be even winning this half, but Spirit have earned their CT rounds as well. It's not a situation where you can discount them for their creative defense versus these highly complex strategies that look creative, interesting, innovative. Now, let's see what's going to be the deal for Winstrike. Happy to have Augs, I'm sure.
Helps out on the Expedition Outdoors. I feel like the rise in the SG/AUG meta kind of takes a bit of an advantage away from when we used to see so many snipers up in the heavens.
Now you can play 2 players, one outside, one mini. There's Sotvik spamming through. Winstrike do not waste time on this one. They just decide to run by the smokes, get into the lower site. Dima is taking an off angle behind the silo. One of the strongest places to wait in, but with no support at this point, it's going to be very difficult for his team to help him.
That's a big duel. Waylander had to win it. 4 HP left over, but Dima's got a double. Locks down Heisenberg, doesn't let Winstrike out of the doorway. And World Edit, in close proximity with an op, is going to have a very hard time of trying to find this player, who is now directly above him. He's actually rotating slightly back towards ramp, and it's exactly there that Kvik catches him. Man advantage up for Winstrike, but just barely. Waylander's health still so low. And down he goes, a double from Coldie, making it look hot on the B-bomb site, but cut down short of one. We've got ourselves a clutch here, Mohan. It's Davkost in World Edit. The Opera who swapped to the AK peeks out for the kill, and he's gonna have to dodge this Molotov. He's got one of his own with a double flash too, but the smoke creates room for Davkost to potentially play out from. World Edit doesn't believe him. Not sure which door to look at. He's just gonna tuck himself beneath.
Yeah, this is great. Back to a wall. Dav's got to find him. He's going to play 50-50 on these angles, and he actually hits the flick as well. World Edit looked like he wanted to take his time to line that up to make sure it was a clean headshot. But just that little bit of time was enough to alarm Davkost.
That's that 16 HP. That was a crucial P250 kill.
Holy smokes. Wow. Oh, wow. Okay. Attack called for Spirit. As after losing that round, they've got, or sorry, it was Spirit who, it was Davkost who won the round, right? It was World Edit who got shot.
Correct.
World Edit got shot. Just want to feel like maybe take a moment to have a breather, figure out what they want to buy. Everybody's got enough money for sure. It's a good opportunity to do a little bit of mental math and try to understand how much Winstrike have left over. They will, of course, be pretty okay, considering they won the eco round and then the follow-up. Oh, man. Yeah. He was probably thinking, as soon as he spotted somebody in his peripheral vision, and he was dead.
He didn't stop before, starting to shoot, but that's that P250 accuracy. Just had to hit him anywhere. Take him down at the knees. Norbert will do exactly that, in fact. Oh, double entry off the MAC-10. A follow-up Molotov to put Davkost into an awful position, and his teammate too. Dima down to 20 health just because of the flames, and Sotfix slain as he tries to flank in from Mini. Davkost hot on his heels, gets right into position, but not as hot as Winstrike. That round was so fast.
An instantaneous up-tempo strategy where they decided to rush Mini. They had somebody inside of Squeaky. I think it was Waylander inside of Squeaky, spamming, throwing his Molotov and nade out, trying to make sure that if there was a mini player, he'd be preoccupied, as we saw with Sumdai Young, sitting on top of the hut, expecting there to be some kind of Squeaky presence, if not like some kind of explode out Squeaky, and all the while, Norbert running over Silo on top of Mini, and with all the noise, didn't have to let up on the gas pedal, jumped into Mini, and got the double entry with a MAC-10. That was a pretty fantastic spray on the second guy too.
Yeah.
I mean, normally you don't go handing out accolades for MAC-10 kills, but that was a long-range one, and I don't think it's a different round. Maybe at this point, if he doesn't get that kill, if Goldie's really low, he probably still gets traded. But it helps win the round for them. It helps make it so decisive. Denies any chance of a retake.
How much harder is that round if there was actually somebody inside of Mini when SDY drops down?
Sure, and the idea is that with Waylander spamming, that even if there was, at least maybe he'd be trying to spam back. Oh no, not another eco. We can't, our hearts can't take these.
No.
There's just too many ecos in this game.
Let's see if Winstrike slowed down the tempo because of it.
Oh, you know what? They have decent guns. They've got Davkost managed to buy an op, and everybody else is supporting him with armor, and either SMG or upgraded pistols. So.
Nuke is one of those maps where these pistols can get very close as well. As long as you don't lose too much outdoors, but looks like Spirit, they're going to make a preemptive strike. They're going to go on the offensive, and they find Kvik with his back turn. World Edit versus 3, up close, cannot manage versus Coldie's AK-47. So Norbert down on the B site, Boomich on A. And that bomb is in fact planting on B this moment. He's alone. And Boomich, if he can cut off rotators, if he can cut down the numbers too, that would be fantastic. But now they've completely avoided him. Spirit falling over towards ramp in strong numbers, 3. All the while having Sotfik come down from the secret stairs. This is really going to draw their attention in two different directions, unless that happens. Immediately picking up the kill. Now they just have to fixate on the bomb. Norbert through the door will spam the initial diffuser, but it's just a tap. Then the trade back into the clutch once more, and it's Winstrike to pick this one up.
Absolutely monster spray from Boomich. Easy kills from him. Got the first kill on the big flank after Sotfik took one step, and then came down to support from Heisenberg and easily put away the last two players. That was pretty fantastic. A 2v4 after what looked like it was going to be another tumultuous eco round where the CTs pulled one away again. Started off again by killed by some Dayoung. No, that's not.
I really like that positioning from Boomich and Norbert. You know, Norbert in front of the sink, Boomich just in front of it, so they have the same angle on bomb. You know, nobody's going to be hit by a wide swing. You got
like an angle where you can still trade.
Right, exactly. And already an entry. Norbert letting loose outdoors once more.
That's an interesting spot. Looking for the kind of snacks vent drop. Davkos just snuck into it and stayed down there. That's a great way to counter it. Do use a man early to get lower control, but it's an eco round. They're going to be making sacrifices quick. Hits that shot from downtown over top of the box. Instant headshot, and the important part for Winstrike is they don't lose anybody, and it's still 5 alive for them. Couple last of the CTs, and they're both upper players. Coldie finds 1 kill and is just gonna hightail it.
Caught by the Norbert. So off to a pretty decent start. I feel like, you know, numerically just there with the rest of the team, but he's had a lot of crucial entries. And I feel like Waylander's pressure towards Squeaky Door as well has done a good job of grabbing so much attention that Norbert has more space to work with outside.
Yeah, it's interesting. Just like on Cash, there was just so much back and forth between the doorway. Whether or not you see somebody coming out of it, there's nades that go back and forth through it. Sometimes you blow it up. Sometimes you throw a smoke in front of it. Sometimes you threaten Vent's presence. You make it a nightmare for the player playing in Mini to defend against upstairs. Waylander missing his initial grenade, but again, it's a ruse. He puts the pressure on. His teammates rush the ramp, and the smoke is dropped to deny anybody from getting down after him. But now they've got to figure out, how do they help Dima?
Winning duels elsewhere on the map would help. Almost getting 2 players through smoke. They near lined up for him.
What are the rotates here for the CTs? Okay, Coldie's made his way into Heisenberg. He's got this kind of long shot angle. Oh, but now he's playing more committed to the site. Doesn't expect them to actually come through. Feel like he ran a bit of a risk there. Not only pushing out, but then reloading, walking up. I mean,
that's living life on the edge.
In terms of all the information they had, they knew there was a ton of T's at the ramp. It's sometimes unfair of us to call stuff out that can't be seen by the CTs, but the information was there.
Yeah, it's the fact that they kind of let off the gas pedal. You know, they go into one of these rounds where they just slow down, and he assumes, well, if they haven't hit in this 10-second window period, then they're not going to go in the next 2. And of course, timing is everything in Counter-Strike.
And you have to go off your instincts sometimes, but the spot that he was also moving into was the same spot that you would normally have a CT fall back from if you have ramp control. Dima, for example, you know, he drops this smoke down behind him and then sits behind him and then tries to fight. And normally you would either do that for a little bit and take your duel and try to win, or you would fall back down the ramp, get into the B side along the close wall to the right and control side, or just down the ramp. And even then you're in kind of a precarious spot. And in that situation, Coldie was just kind of moving into that himself willingly. I think you would gladly stay in a place like Heisenberg, but maybe he was trying to create space for his team. And as we see, it was a very nice shot from World Edit as well to take him out. But that's it, folks. We've got a tied game in the first half, and I gotta say, these two teams look very prepared. Winstrike have brought some cool stuff to the table, and Spirit are definitely up to the challenge. Doesn't seem like any advantages are going to be coming out of this veto.
Really giving them more space to play, and there's the reason why. Davkos welcomes the walkout. No smokes, no flashbangs, nothing. Norbert into the op scope, and potentially Boomich to Sotfix. He's all the way in the depths of Garage. Not something we've really seen too much from Spirit, so a nice little minute change. Could make a world of difference. He's going to have to shuffle his feet if he wants to keep eyes outdoors.
He's in a super strong position, but as we can see, Boomich is trying to circumvent that by playing on top of Mini, and he won't have any targets to deal with. He'll also, be able to pull off a very soft drop. But there it is, Sophic just prepared, and he's not in a position that's easy to get to, even though they know where he is.
Some Young looks temporarily into the lobby, finds nothing. Waylander has gotten his way down into Vent. Ooh, nice flick shot from World Edit. Just a warning to SDY. Bugger off. And Quick's got ramp. That's going to be huge because obviously the rotation from SDY, he falls out of lobby, called of course by World Edit. I like that Quick takes the initiative and moves forward. Now Sophic pries into Vent, doesn't see anybody, makes a bunch of noise as he runs down to decontamination, and while he's blocked off by the Molotov, it's because they know exactly where he's at. Kvik hiding back behind boxes, Molotov should flush him outwards, and it does. However, no one there to catch him yet. And Waylander finds Sophic on the retreat, so that AWP is crucial. They'll keep it. A 7th for Winstrike, and a lead on this T side.
That was Kvik who was tucked into that corner, right? And the Molotov should have hit him. I wondered, did Sophic just come off the angle too soon? Why didn't he actually get that kill? He was holding on to it. Fell back to die to the player who initially compromised his position. That Molotov was directed at him. That wasn't random, the one that landed in front of decontamination. But this man right here, Kvik, you know, his job becomes a lot greater when World Edit take that shot in lobby and has to fall back and then ends up dying. If he can't delay long enough, like, World Edit is not going to be able to help them in the afterplant. So it was absolutely pivotal that he not only got that kill inside the B site, but the one at ramp as well.
We didn't get to catch it on the observer feed, but I'm still kind of scratching my head as to how Waylander got down onto the B site with bomb, full health, and everything.
2 of them went through the vent, so they just did a late vent drop with a smoke, and that's a great way to avoid nades. Early in the round, getting out vent can be hard. But look at this, we're already into this next round, and there is more pressure on the ramp. They have been able to compromise this every round but the eco.
Ooh, Dima lucky to still have his head. Davkos comes in to help out. Waylander's going to have to pinch this from beneath. So now Dima knows he's probably doomed. Heard the window break down towards the bomb site. He's actually going to find World Edit completely scoped in. What's this player doing? That was Boomich over behind the boxes. Just didn't see the walk-up. So, I mean, I've got to say props to Dima. You know, he thinks he's enveloped by 3 players, knows he needs to make some kind of an effort to cut down numbers. And he's gifted for his endeavor.
Boomich low. And the clock ticks down. They've been in this spot before, and the last time they tried to go back upstairs, here Team Spirit have the bomb site, the B bomb site, well fortified. They've got Coldy in a proper spot, and Waylander's the high HP player, so he goes down first. Coldy will go ahead and take the whole round into his own hands. Down to 12 HP, but he gets the 2 kills. Team Spirit tie up at 7-7, and we finally jock for a position for at the end of the half for a numerical lead. That will stick. This has been back and forth all the way through, and justifiably so. Both teams seem like they are a good match for each other. They're ready to play Nuke. They've got cool stuff on T side, that is Winstrike, and Team Spirit also have great stuff on CT side that have made this highly competitive. Waylander once again, this is kind of his job.
Yep, goes out fast once more. Nails it. Oh no, he misses the vent this time.
I don't think he actually blew the vent open, but I might be mistaken. Don't know if we'll find out either. Dima though.
Yeah, we've seen him completely lock down decon. Davkos is going to have support behind him. Team Spirit, they're coming back from an expedition through the trophy room, which means this is all too easy. It's all too informed. They know that Winstrike are coming in off these angles. Oh, bam. Just blown to smithereens. And SDY catches World Edit too. So we had that 5-round spree for Winstrike. Finally, in the 14th round, Team Spirit tie it up, put that streak to an end, and it seems as though they'll take the final 15th round of their CT side too. Coldy already in position, catches Boomich, and yes sirree, that's it. A one-round advantage for Spirit as they'll begin their T-side. Folks, we'll see you after the break for the second half of Nuke. We had ourselves some MAC-10 rushes, elaborate slowdowns, and 1v1 clutches through and through. An awesome first half for what will be the last best of 3 of the CIS Minor. Winstrike and Team Spirit switching sides, and Winstrike about to be pummeled off ramp. Look at Spirit Go-Launders just charging forward with the Glocks, and they don't catch any kills, but all they want's that bomb plant at the very least. And Norbert, wow. One tap, one frag, and immediately Winstrike here to try and catch them on the B site.
Suddenly Team Spirit have decided to scramble, look for another way to get that opening kill, chasing Norbert down, but he is so tricky, finding a way to flank the players who were chasing him with 4, and now he can make it a third. Easy third kill.
Oh, just braining him at the moment. Norbert's got himself back behind the bomb site. That's where he ends up dying.
You know what? His teammates died, though, in the midst of it, and it's now come down to a 2v2, so Norbert's put in all the effort so far. Can his teammates meet him halfway?
It's one of those maps that gets really weird in these kinds of 2 versus 2s. I think Team Spirit have the right idea here. Shoulder to shoulder, side by side.
Yeah. World Edit controlling upstairs. I mean, from him in this position, it's typically a spot where you rotate out of if you are worried about lower, so it's pretty powerful for him to still be here. And it's actually Spirit to look for another way into heaven. World Edit falls out, but that's fine. It's still going to be difficult for them to get to him. And Boomich looked pretty comfortable in his spot in decontamination. Is he still there? Yep,
still sitting nearby. World Edit arrives as well. Now they're going to hear the footsteps, so they know exactly what's up. Davkos goes for the deep corner plant. It's a very large bomb site, this one.
They're lost. They think it's upstairs. Oh my god. How much time will they spend here? No. Now they've got the note. And what's that? 7-8 seconds off the bomb?
Yep. That may come back to haunt them. World Edit does still have the kit. Sotvik tapping away from behind box. They need to find a way to get him out of here, but Davkos, He's just going to wait above and swoops in with a couple of headshots. Winstrike, you saw them scramble frantically back into the bomb site, and then doing so, didn't clear above them.
I want to say that they were actually a bit too frantic considering how much time was left. Yeah, just highlighted that 7 seconds to come off the bomb, but they still had enough time to work the site a little bit more slowly. I think the problem was they felt like they were making up for lost ground. You know, they're all, their brains are probably all scrambled because they realized they went to the wrong site. That's kind of embarrassing. But once they had figured it out, could have potentially taken their time to get back into B. I think the biggest bit of, the biggest thing that counted against them was that Spirit could now have that 2v2 however they wanted, right? They could get into any position that they wanted to get in, and that was the scariest part for Winstrike to have to think about. But if Boomich had stayed there and Decon spotted the cross and, you know, tried to catch somebody, he would have caught the second player crossing the site for sure. Yep. You know, the bomb was planted in the left corner, but then someone went around on the railings to the other corner up behind the silo, and that would have been a free pickup. So now Spirit 7 away from taking the game, and you want to say they'll also take this round. They've got an anti-ego. World Edit has picked up a kit because he believes they'll win. But belief is not what's going to take him there. Norbert, however, is probably pretty salty from the last round. 0 RWS for him.
Poor guy. Robbed away this round too. Tries to get the job done with the P250. Hits Coldie substantially. And then it's turned on its head. Coldie's been putting in hard work so far this map. This is one of those things with Spirit, is you never really know who's going to be the standout individual. Yesterday, some die young through and through. But it's this man on screen now. Woke up on the right side of the bed this morning, 21-9, 113 ADR, 18 rounds deep.
I'm going to put Olaf in my name and see if that affects my performances.
I hate to break it to you, Launders.
Already got a couple of Nikos that do well, you know. I think there's something there.
Doubled back from ramp, Spirit, silently. Getting through lobby, gonna hit this A bomb site, and they'll find it for free. Or will they? We've got a bunch of CTs actually coming back from the ladder. Quick, oh boy, almost saved. Davkos with a double, that's a big one. He does clear them out. I felt like both teams really just caught off guard by that engagement. Neither of them expecting their opponents to be so near. World Edit, he manages to get a headshot over box. Boomich USP versus a double AK. You'd think these odds are insurmountable. And all he wanted was that ump. But he can't get his paws on it, and he's just so disadvantaged that down he goes. 10-7 and Spirit convert.
I'd like to know what the stats are on the ecos so far this game, because I think there was maybe one apiece. And, you know, if those were pivotal rounds or not, from what I remember in the first half, they definitely were influential. And you know, in the first half, I think Spirit were able to win the second round to steal it back from Winstrike. This is a game that, what I'm trying to say is this is a game that Winstrike could have been ahead in, if not for maybe that ego and potentially, you know, this pistol as well. That will haunt them when we move into the next map, because it's not their map pick, it's Spirit's. So here we can see standard default out for the T's, and this is interesting, or it's important to look at this to figure out what their protocols are, generally speaking, on the rifle round, if they want to spend the beginning of the round making sure there's no pushes. And now that everything's settled in the lobby, they have decided to pop the squeaky door open, smoke out Mini, molly Waylander out of spot, and push him into fighting.
Yeah, he'll take one. You know, he knew he was done for, roasty toasty. In the back of the vents, Boomich. Well, he's behind the bomb site, but SDY, swift entries with that AK, and a deep grenade to the heavens should tag Norbert. He does, wow. 48 damage off of the frag. He's got shrapnel in his teeth. Does not want to bear them in an attempt to get into the bomb site. He'll leave. Kvik trying to do the same thing, but he's got a threat right ahead. Davkos dinked, but not down.
Pretty quick cleanup as Spirit work their way into upstairs. They open Squeaky, they keep it simple, they throw a smoke out. The beginning of the round is just to see if Winstrike want to get audacious with a push. There is no push to be had. And from there, have a clear entrance onto the site. Waylander at least got one and had the support flash from his team, and that's why he initially hid, because he wanted to hold on to that spot. But the Molotov came out so quickly that it ended up just being an awkward engagement. Maybe the flash slowed him down a little bit, but the kill was much more important. Spirit found an easy way into the A site, excuse me, push Winstrike now into a safe situation. They could potentially upgrade a little bit, but apart from that, don't have much to work with. And we can see there's so much relief for Sumdai Young, who once he kills the player who is supposed to be the flex mini player and can tell his teammates that top of HUD is clean, can focus his attention to the back of the site, whether it's on the rafters or on the silo. He only has to move his crosshair up and down. It's still all within his vision. It's not something that, oh wow, he has to work on and flick around for. That was a really cool kill from Safik. Spotted him get up there, but I just want to say, probably line that up and started tapping through the smoke. I don't think he totally saw him.
I genuinely can't remember the last time I've seen somebody up on that little roof. You know, Norbert just plays himself. Sure, they'll get one, but Davkos with 2 kills and $8.4 thousand, I'm sure he's not sweating it.
Lots of money on the board, and Winstrike are going to call a attack timeout one more time. They've been good about using them. We're on to their last one for the game, and it is go time. They absolutely need this round for the sake of their confidence and for the sake of the fact that it is their map pick. Team Spirit are starting to walk away with this. They just had just too easy of a round on that previous ref round. It was just way too easy. You know, if you're Winstrike, you're thinking, we didn't even make them work for it. That's scary. You're just handing over. You're just having your confidence siphoned out of you as a roster. So what will change now? Kvik is the last person to buy his armor. We've got an op on world edit. I want to know what the setup is. And more importantly, what Spirit will try to do. They have so many options on the board. And let's see about the spawns. World Edit doesn't seem too concerned about his initial smoke outside. World Edit here to stop any kind of fast squeaky play, which has become one of the biggest pain points for a CT team. To stop anyone from doing that snacks vent drop. And I can't think of anyone better to credit that to. Oh my goodness, World Edit just barely spotted a player crossing. I feel like as he was crouching was suddenly a bit unprepared, and that's why he didn't hit the shot. But at least Waylander picks up the slack on that lurk to lower. There's nobody else here from Spirit. So what are their chances on this round?
Well, they've got Dima just outside of Mini. They've got this stack up inside Squeaky Door, so maybe they go for that mid-round vent drop. You know they wanted to sink their teeth into the lower bomb site, and they'll try. Boomich actually gets pulled into the gunfights, costs him his life, and it will cost Winstrike some trait frags. 2 versus 2, and World Edit's got them both. He falls into B, uses the cover, and sections off those 1v1s very nicely.
For a 4v5, it was a pretty sound execute, I feel like. Getting the 2 players outside, losing the initial one event, or losing the initial one going down secret, excuse me, is hard to come back from, but they made the most of it, and it was a good play from World Edit to drop into the site, get those 2 op shots, and start to help Winstrike claw their way back into the game. Spirit will not be too worried about that one. They had successful anti-ecos, and now we'll be able to buy. A lot of pressure outside, a bit of nade damage done to the T's as they attempt to cross. Winstrike, although they hit that nade, don't know for sure that there is going to be players crossing. And World Edit might have another tricky smoke on his hands, but takes a shot really early and now doesn't even see one cross. Waylander not in that cute angle that he was using last round. He's finally pushing back into it, takes a step.
And unfortunately for him, it's not just a single lurker. No, there are 4 players from Spirit about to run forward, bomb included. He gets the first 2. Davkos op is what they needed to trade. Winstrike will be happy with this first engagement. Spirit a little hesitant to play off of it. And what's the change up from Winstrike? They've put Norbert behind boxes on B.
This is where it gets so confusing. And the whole point of taking lower control is to create chaos for the CTs, for them to just not know where to look. As we can see World Edit switching between 3 angles. The worst thing you can do on CT side is rotate too quickly. And then, once you're lower, not be able to get upstairs. You know, coming out of heaven is a huge commitment. But the good thing for them is they still have the man advantage to work with. World Edit also drops the bomb, who tries to make his way out of control room. And now the T's need to go and retrieve it. They at least get a kill, but it's still going to be difficult. 15 seconds up. Can they even get to the bomb?
This was gonna be desperate. They run inwards. 10 seconds left over. Davkos is putting in work right now, but he does get bombarded by Boomich. And then Kvik catches Sotvik in smoke. They know exactly what was up. That bomb really put things into desperation, because if you look at the fragging from Davkos, felt like he was in control, except for that time.
And although things have been adding up for Spirit, this could be a game about CT side. Winstrike could fully be more prepared for the CT side than they were T side. And Davkos does his best to come alive in the mid round, but ends up getting taken out by an auto shotgun, which it sounds funny, but it also just is a big payday for Boomich. He's going to hang on to it.
It's the Nuke.
What sound does it make? Thump. Thump. That sounds like a grenade launcher.
That's what it feels like when it hits people, you know. One buckshot downrange, and poor Davkos, he's tearing it up with the op. You know, we've got predicted peaks, little flick here or there. And Boomich destroys his dreams.
Such a tense position for Waylander to be in. We can see that there's T's on the other side of this door. He's got to decide when to use his nades. If he doesn't have a lot of support outside, he's got to patrol back and forth between making sure that nobody crosses and coming back to stop anyone from dropping vent. If there is just a slight window of opportunity for the T's to come out and get an event, that's on Waylander.
Worried about outside position. Oh, wow, 3 kills off the spray down, bomb included. You could see his attention being pulled outdoors, and you'd think to yourself, you know, someone's there to distract him. But he goes all in on the spray, and it most certainly pays off. Little smoke spam from Davkos, and Boomich.
Yeah, again. Waylander will be a key player in this match if Winstrike do manage to get back in. Controlling Squeaky, helping outside. He's also a player that's going to take a lot of damage in this round, in almost every round, and we saw him have just an undue amount of stress put on him playing Asian Vent, where they needed it open, had him locked in, mollied him out of position, and put him in a spot where he had to peek and just pray. Came through on 1 kill, but that wasn't enough then. Definitely want to keep an eye on him for these coming rounds, because Spirit, just like Winstrike, seem to love Squeaky. Oh my goodness, comes through with the pre-fire on Davkos, understands almost certainly that it's an op, and goes for the extra credit on Sum Dai Young.
1 health. 1 health, Mohan, is all SDY keeps himself standing on, so no surprise to see him take up the back line. But then there's a pause here. Team Spirit are going to double back outdoors. It's been a bit of time since they've really pressured much here, and it's Kvik on the other end of things. He's inside the big garage. All these smokes begin to sail forward. Again, the question will be, are there actually players on the other side of this? They've been trying to condition them at times, throwing no one down, and then moments like these.
Quick's position here is almost only beneficial just for the auditory cue, and he finds, oh my goodness, just the perfect window of opportunity going for the flank. Will spot the bomb, drop him instantly, see that there's one more player, doesn't know if anyone's lagging behind him, but now we'll find out as Sum Dai Young trades him out. But that much information, I mean, that's going to alarm all of Winstrike. Norbert put into a perfect spot to destroy Coldy inside of control room, and Demon now has to pick up the pieces.
Yeah, he needs to get this bomb. Doesn't know if there's other players in position. Doesn't know for how long Kvik was actually back there. But whirled at it, and Boomich will combine again. That shotgun so hot on the flanks, you'd think at times a liability. And props to Kvik. I mean, he finds that outer setup, and for such a long time, he seemed hyper-aware of the fact that somebody could be lulling behind, just like SDY was. But obviously then he's thinking he's being chased. Once he gets into that frantic scenario, he kind of loses track of his attention. And luckily for Winstrike, they'll trade train all the way to an 11th round on the board.
Looked like Boomich finally, no, he didn't even upgrade. Picked up the, had the auto shotgun, dropped it for the AK, or bought an AK, or dropped an AK to Kvik, and then rebought the auto shotgun. So obviously his gun of choice, and again, this bank that he's built up quietly is gonna count for a lot as Winstrike are getting all of these rounds in succession. Spirit back on an eco round, not a single flash of their names. They've got pretty good pistols. Ramp's a nice place to hit. It's kind of the middle of the map. But World Edit's got support.
Yep, that's Norbert from the corner. Collateral on 3. World Edit swapping over to the sidearm, just mows them all down. So Spirit try to throw a bit of a Hail Mary, get into that ramp room. Really not something we'd seen as of yet. And their first attempt is not welcome. Turned right away.
And Winstrike were able to, or they actually lost the pistol on both halves.
Yes.
Yeah, so they lost 2 pistols and have made it 12-12 and also got ecoed. And so it just feels like for all of those reasons that Winstrike are fully ahead in this game, not to mention their economy, not to mention their relatively flawless CT side comeback.
Lost that pistol 4 rounds in a row to start the T side of Spirit, and now we've had 4 consecutive, rounds back for Winstrike too. Take a quick peek at the scoreboard. You guys can see it's really been Davcost and Coldy at the top side of Spirit. And excuse me, it's actually 5 rounds in a row from Winstrike.
Looking to make it 6. World Edit opping. And Spirit, what are their options? They know that it's going to be difficult to get out of Squeaky. There's a great man here holding it in Waylander. He's been very consistent. And they could try to kind of subvert that threat by taking him outside first, or just totally lurking around it, just avoiding him completely for the whole round. But we've seen this before where Sotfik throws his Molotov outside. This is probably going to be a squeaky bust.
Waylander was ready on the anti-eco for it. This time, however, Spirit armed to the teeth. Looks like they'll sink their teeth into ramp instead. Oh. Norbert, how long does he stick around? He's dropped the molly, manages the second headshot versus Coldy, and then goes for the retreat, but Kvic's actually there to help him, so an entire blowout from Team Spirit once they tried to work on ramp. They're down into the 2 versus 5, and their teammates, well, one of which tucked behind vent, takes a bullet to the face. 30 HP is what he'll have to work with another man up close. He drops Waylander, lucky to be alive. Does not want to die. Davcost gonna work with him, and they'll re-aggress on ramp. We've got a boost in process from Winstrike.
They might have heard this. It won't help, however. It's gonna be too difficult to kill Kvic too. You wouldn't imagine they pull this one off.
They get themselves another, but like we said, Norbert boosted up. They really don't expect that. He's the insurance policy on the round. Excellently done there by Winstrike to get those pieces into ramp as fast as possible.
Yeah, they were prepped and ready, and ramp has been pretty hard to stop. The thing what they did with Squeaky with it, I guess they tried to feign that it would be a Squeaky explode again with some Young, and instead walked ramp, but they went ramp really quickly. I don't know if they could have spent more time working on that fake or trying to sell it. So they went through the whole early portion of the round to make it seem like it was another squeaky bust again. But could have potentially been spotted on their walk up. We don't know. But what we do know is that Winstrike are now winning.
And in striking fashion. 6 in a row and got in for a 7th. Remember, Nuke, of course, being the choice of Winstrike. We could see why in their elaborate T side. Really cool mid rounds. Really solid defense as of late. Boomich still hanging on to the noob tube. Door swings out just to be met by flames. Waylander as well, hyper aggressive outside. We hadn't seen something like that yet from him. World Edit's got the safety of the bomb site and a shotgun plus Kvic. So many players up here for the CTs that they turn it away with ease and grab 14. 2 more for the win on map 1.
There's a big bonus in knowing what your opponents are going to do. They didn't even have to rotate too many people in more heavily. They just had one person flanking. Waylander had pushed out, got all that information, knew that it wasn't going to be some outside play. Everybody in the site could sit behind the silo, up in the rafters, and fight the Squeaky presence one more time. So even without being there, Waylander has had an impact on Squeaky. The off from World Edit comes alive, but there's no fantastic flick shots. It's nothing too impressive. He makes it easy by knowing exactly where each fight will come. Once again, Spirit decide to go back to basics, running into lower, hoping to try to just catch a CT off guard or in rotation, and they do that. Waylander gets caught off guard.
Yeah, too many directions for him to handle. There is a player above the bomb site, plus World Edit again trying to pull away that attention. Bomb carrier is out and active. Good job by Norbert. He actually kills the player inside Control, who did have an angle on him. Now the spray down's wild, and we have Spirit in a very tantalizing position. Boomich and Kvik, hot on their heels, will grab a kill apiece, but it's that Opper versus 2. And Kvik's already trying to work his way inwards, has no idea as to where they're both at. You can see him hesitant here.
He actually picked up, okay, he's got an AK, and not only does he have the smoke, he picked up an incendiary as well. So drops the smoke, will try to elicit some spam, instead goes ahead and just takes the first kill. Is going to stick the defuse. The shots come through, and Sum Dae-young has such a big blast radius with that noob tube. Makes it too easy. Stands right in the doorway. It says, sup, mother.
Pumps that buckshot.
Yeah. No problem.
Not out of this one just yet. You were talking about the importance of those eco round wins that we had. There's only been 2 that I can recall in this entire map so far, round 4 and round 7. So obviously not having any impact for such a long amount of time. But here we are in the last few waning rounds, and Team Spirit throw them a curveball right upside the head.
Might not be all they need to win, but it'll certainly be a lot for them to feel better. It's just been a disastrous bout here on the latter half of this side, and once again, most of the T's are downstairs. What they do from here is up for question. You know, they've been spotted. They know they've been spotted, most likely. They've seen Waylander rotate in. This time, I don't think anybody's dropped quite yet, unless they've got someone from ramp who's made his way lower. But Spirit haven't seen a threat so far on both staircases. And it seems like the rotation from the CTs is kind of just a little bit late.
Yeah, there's a big opening here. If Team Spirit just want to try to throw themselves in, there is room for them to take. A second smoke. World Edit's position compromised. Sees the head of Dima coming upwards, and Dima's getting hella close. Just on the other side of the doorway. Bomb safely planted.
5v5.
Utility bouncing back in for the CTs. Boomich, first man in. Instant headshot with the shotgun. Waylander caught outdoors because Sophic serving as an anchor, and this is going to convince Winstrike to save. We are tied in the 28th round. 2 to go, and anybody's map. Davkos might even rack up the costs as he finds the flank through lobby. Norbert, hide if you can.
Looks like I and Winstrike were unprepared, as it felt like World Edit had the information that they had gone for some type of lower play again, but for the first time, Winstrike did not have a rotate prepared before the XQ came. They just scrambled to get there after the bomb went down. We saw it was 5v5, so Team Spirit wasted no time making sure that the bomb got down early, and then it was really easy. It's 3 people coming down the ramp. You know, the reason that Team Spirit were able to have such great CT holds on the lower site was because Dima would play around the top of the silo. You know, get 2Ks on decontamination, and also stop Control exits. Here, we didn't have anybody in the site in comfortable spots.
You can see how easily World Edit was countered once the smoke was up in his face. He had 2 opportunities at kills. The first one through the control window, which he misses. The second was when Dima started running up the ramp to try and push him off. That was a really hard shot to hit. But once he misses that one, it's clear. 5v5 bomb plant, Team Spirit will take that any day of the week.
No, that's true. Those were chances. And when they, you know, in a situation where they weren't totally prepared, then those are the chances that matter the most. So I think fortunately for Winstrike, they have a little bit of money to be able to buy. But Team Spirit are back on the horse. Davkos going to be clearing outside, not wasting any time. Saw a blue guy up top, just slightly. But it won't be a favorable engagement for him to win. This is not an easy angle to try to come out of pre-fire.
Oh, interesting op duel.
There's a time and place. You know, you're peeking cat on Dust 2, yeah, you can maybe win it with an op holding you, but from this spot, I don't think so. Norbert, initial engagement 1. Vic gonna try to fall back, turns around, does a bit of damage to Dima, but that's even traded.
Davkos, he's got his, and World Edit wins the op duel. 2 snipers that used to be teammates in Flipside Tactics, always bouncing that op roll back and forth. Well, World Edit bests him again.
Looks like Winstrike are on for match point. Finally in the mid round, of the last 3 rounds we've seen. Spirit looked like they had everything figured out, and now they don't. They've got enough time to be patient. Walk for rotates. Coldy can try to grab attention here, but the AWP is holding the flank. World Edit misses an absolute sitter in hell and leaves Coldy here to try to get a trade. There it is. Boomich goes down. The last player known. Oh my god, World Edit, or Waylander gets his kill. He's low on HP. They're both low on HP.
And he's going to go for the sneak. He's going to start wrapping around the smoke outdoors, and Coldy, well, he fires off the op shot and moves. If he could swap to an automatic gun, then maybe he has a better chance, but he thinks he circumvented the threat. Waylander is cerebral. And a 1v1 low HP situation for the 15th round on Winstrike. You know everybody is puckered after that one.
He took a big risk by walking out a mini. That is a place where you totally feel comfortable. Went out in the open, through the smoke to try to make the next gen read, and that is exactly what his team needed from him. Winstrike pulled that out by the skin of their teeth after looking like they were in full control. World Edit put that in danger with missing that shot.
Right, but I don't know how much of that shot was actually made simple, because he was hit by a frag grenade at the exact moment that SDY comes in from ramp. It's got to serve as some sort of a distraction when you get frag pieces upside your head. Damn, that was close. One bullet literally makes the difference there between both of those two players.
The first time since round 26 that a team does not have the guns that they want. Team Spirit on the back foot, seems so close to closing out this game. 12-7 at one point, are now 14-15 and on a half bye. T-side has not been too kind to them, but they, after having a successful pistol and few following successive rounds, dropped off and came back, and now, once again, maybe, I don't know, is their playbook deep enough? We'll have to find out here.
Oh, it's off at the feet of Waylander. That one's fast, just like this push from Spirit. Two players fly over Mini, and Kvik gets them both. Dima tries to come back for the trade frag. He just can't do it. World Edit already starting to curb back that squeaky door push, but there's footing here. There's space for Spirit to work with. Sotvik, he's the one who goes charging, parading into the B bomb site. SDY will plant behind the silo, and Norbert's trying to get into position, but does he expect this so close? Oh, doesn't matter. Taps at a distance, gets SDY. He'll be chased, and there's three players there. Davkos is going to have to go astronomical if he wants to push this into overtime. He's opening the doors, coming in from different angles, just trying to cut down numbers, and he's done so with at least the first frag. Then he's caught, flying through the sky. Of course, it's Norbert to finish this off. Winstrike, after losing both pistols, after losing 4 out of 5 rounds at the start of each half, still manage to bring back their map 16-14.